to the comic shop. I'll let you read about Cyclops. I'll have you spending all you got. Cyberfrog is looking hot. Uncle E. I'm sure you saw the last couple of videos I made. Yes, I did tear up a comic book. Yes, I did start a fire with another crappy comic book. And I can't do 3 in a row. I can't. And so I said I need to find a comic book I know is safe, a comic book I know I can trust, a comic book that I know I could give to a kid, whether that kid is 6 or whether that kid is 12. There is a difference in the type of comic books you can give kids. You know, Marvel Comics was at one point, same with DC, they were safe for children of all ages. Image Comics showed up and they revolutionized the business and they made it so that there were comic books also for teenagers, for 12 and 13-year-old and 14-year-old boys to read. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is a comic book that I knew I could enjoy, that I could just sit down and enjoy. And it's this little gem right here. It's called Badrock #1, and it is by Rob Liefeld. But look at that, there's Todd McFarlane. They collaborated on this cover. Isn't that nice? This is issue 1A, you'll notice, and that is describing this variant cover. This was one cover available on this Badrock #1. And what I think is really cool is it's only $1.75. So when Image started, every one of their comics was $1.95. And I think it's really neat that Rob Liefeld enjoys and appreciates his fans so much that he figured out a way to get it 20 cents lower. And that's cool. He didn't have to do that at all, but he did do it. I don't know why, but I think it's cool. So, instantly, what do we notice? That this comic book looks a lot of fun. The colors are great. The way that his hand is coming over the title is great. Very explosive, very impactful, very much in your face, very much inviting you to open it up and see what's on the inside. And boom, right there, immediately, we are in for some fun. We are in the middle of a fight, clearly. And that is a great way to start a story, people. Let me tell all of you young and up-and-coming writers, if you want to tell a good story and you're struggling, cut out the first few lines of every scene you have written and make your audience jump into the middle of that scene and play a little catch-up. And if you're good at that, the fan is going to stick with you because you're going to be constantly making them have to play catch-up. And then they also want to know what's going to happen next, so they're trying to figure it out. And that is what Rob Liefeld has done very good here. Eric Stevenson with the script, it's a great script. It's very simple, it's very easy, and it's just what I like in a comic book. And you know, I know there's a lot of Liefeld haters out there. I don't give a crap what you had to say. Rob made comics that were designed to entertain. Did they change the world in the sense of, you know, were these comics designed to be part of a 52-issue crossover that had multiple variant covers and you had to buy like every issue, even though there were only 3 pages in each issue that actually were relevant to the overarching story? No, not at all. It's just designed to give you some fun and entertainment for 20 minutes. And that's what I want comics to be. You know, I'm fine with a fun story that you know, transcends, you know, the modern political climate and makes us reflect on, you know, the world today. That's great too, I guess, you know, like as long as it's not pushing one particular agenda, but is simply pushing the ideals of the Western world, freedom for all mankind, essentially. And you know, I could extrapolate, but I don't want to. I just want to have fun with this comic book because I'm almost to episode 50, and like I said, I cannot handle 3 crappy comics that I have to tear up in a row. So I knew I could trust Rob. You can trust Rob, that's for sure. So basically, Bedrock's just like, how did I end up in this mess? And a mess it is. And instantly, I'm having a good time because, look, it's the Overlord from Savage Dragon. And I know that means fun for me because I love Savage Dragon. I've reviewed Savage Dragon on this channel before. Check out those reviews if you'd like. And this is instantly just draw me in. And look at the art. I mean, look at the art. This says comic book, doesn't it, guys? I'm quite positive that it does. And then there's this other guy named Girth. And now I want you to pay attention to this because we're going to come back to Girth here in a little bit. we've got this super hot chick here who's joined up with him. Her name is Gunner. And you'll notice why, because she has a gun in her hand. And she has a pirate eye patch, which is fun. So here's Gunner. They're talking trash back and forth. And basically what's happened here is the Overlord has sent the Vicious Circle to kidnap Badrock's dad. Badrock is just a teenage kid in a giant rocky body. And that is one of the appeals of this character. And one thing I've noticed about this comic book, one sec, Evangeline. So this is a Rob Liefeld character, and Rob maybe has the distinction, along with like Vampirella, of being the first creator to get a chick to dress up in a costume and portray his character. And when I was a kid growing up in the 90s, you really only saw that in a sexualized sort of way with Evangeline and Vampirella. And Rob definitely, you know, was smart to do this. This is very smart. This is definitely tuning into 12 and 13 and 14-year-old heterosexual boys, which is who comics are designed for. And that doesn't mean that there can't be comics for all the other people in the world. Don't get me wrong. There can be. But the bread and butter of this industry is heterosexual boys, as you can tell. That's how Rob made ducats, made shekels, a millionaire because of comic books. Because he understood who this was made for, who his audience is. Know who your audience is. If you're writing a story and you don't know who it's for other than yourself, stop. Stop writing it right now. You're wasting your life. Figure out who your audience is. I don't care, you know, I've written horror movies. Okay, I've written movies designed for kids who love comic books, men and women alike. I've written stories that I personally designed for girls, but that boys could enjoy too. And until you know who your audience is, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. And if your audience is just yourself, don't waste your time. Because no one's going to give a crap. Entertain an audience. Don't entertain yourself. All of you social justice warriors in the industry should learn from this seriously. Rob made ducats on Evangeline too. And so anyway, so there's this big fight between Girth and Badrock, because you do not kidnap a man's dad, or I guess a teenage boy's dad. And obviously the art is just, you know, what does it for me. Each and every time I open a comic book by Rob Liefeld, this is why I collect Rob Liefeld's comic books. Whether he just did the cover, whether he's the publisher, I collect it all because he designs such impactful comic books. And I don't have to worry about the story. You know, we talked about this on the Youngblood video, that the stories are sometimes light with Rob, but they improved after Youngblood issue number 5, I would say. Things started to get more entertaining, and they're still light entertainment. It's just light entertainment. You're not, you know, this isn't Bruce Wayne's parents die and he gets revenge on Joe Chill and the Joker kills Robin. It's not that. It doesn't have to be that every time. It can just be a good escape. That's what comic books are, is escapism. And this is escapism at its finest, in my opinion. And I don't care if people like it and they can nitpick how Rob draws feet, and so what? Who cares? Look at this. Isn't this fun? If you were 12 years old, wouldn't this make you want to read a comic book? So they get in this big fight. Overlord is pissed. The drool is a little excessive. It looks like Spider-Man shot some webs into his mouth. And clearly Overlord is pissed and is not going to let them get away. Badrock grabs his dad, grabs Gunner, and they just jump, right? Just jumps right off the top of the tower, and that's so fun. And again, you'll notice, like, Rob does a lot of this splash page stuff throughout this comic book. Boom. 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 One thing I really love about all of the dialogue here is it looks a little dialogue heavy, right? But it's actually all from his perspective. And we just did that Iceman versus Iceman video a couple videos back. And one of the things I loved about the Iceman #1 from 1984 was that it was really just like listening to a teenager's inner monologue and all the problems a teenager has. And this is exactly the same way. And it's so enjoyable because it's not about this big giant problem. You know, how many times have we seen in the movies now where, oh, the supervillains have a doomsday device at the top of a skyscraper and the Ninja Turtles have to climb up there and stop it. Oh no, I mean the Avengers have to stop it. Oh no, I mean the Suicide Squad has to stop it in a really shitty movie. Not Badrock, he just wants his dad back. And so he gets his dad back and they jump and they land, you know, he just can, because he can do that because he's Badrock. He can just land right on the ground and jump 100 stories down, and that's super fun. Then Low Blow shows up. This is not Logan. This is Low Blow. And tries to stop him, but there's no stopping him, you know. And so he just chucks the dude. And we got the sexy pinup shot there of Gunner looking good. She looks good in every panel that he draws. They make it to the subway. They get on the subway. And they're just headed home. And then, oh no, Cutthroat and Hellraiser, part of the Vicious Circle from the Savage Dragon, show up. And this is... I think this is the first time I've ever seen Rob draw these characters, and he drew them just as well as Eric Larson drew them in those original Savage Dragon issues that I loved so much as a kid. Again, you know, the whole splash page sort of vibe that Rob gives us is maybe what attracts me to it the most. Look at that. Does this not make you want to be a comic book fan? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some people watching this who are like, no, there's too much color. I like black and white. No, how come they're not sitting around a table having a meal and talking about racial inequality in America or income inequality in America? Those are the things that are really important that comic books should... Shut up, you idiot, shut up. Turn the channel. This is what comics are supposed to look like. This is what comics are supposed to be written like. Thank you, Eric Stevenson. Thank you, Rob Liefeld. And what I love is that I can pretty much give this comic book to a kid in my family and just be like, here, kid, check this out. And he's going to just be like, holy crap, Cousin Legit. This is amazing. Do you have more comics like this? I would say, yeah, I do have more comics that'll help you grow up to be a great American who will help reaffirm your heterosexuality, kid, for sure. Did for me. Oh, see, Rob also did Battlestar Galactica, the comic book, for his Maximum Press imprint. This gets a lot of heat at Image back in the day that Rob went out and started Maximum Press outside of Image. And that really caused some hurt feelings. And we'll talk about Maximum Press more in the future because, like I just said, I am a Rob Liefeld mark. And I will always be a Rob Liefeld mark. And especially when his art is just so enjoyable. And just look at the way he designs every shot here. And this is the one part that is confusing. See, they have escaped. And that's great. And then we cut to their home, and you think that they're running to home because he says that's why I've got to do everything in my power to make sure I get him out of Chicago and back home. Okay, so this is home. So you think that they made it home. But that's not actually what happens, you know, like they're cooking some dinner here, which is super fun. They got the Chef Boyardee hats on. Don't eat Chef Boyardee. I covered that in a previous video that Chef Boyardee is trash. Anyway, though, like they're out of cilantro, and Dad's just like, do you know what cilantro is? And he's just like, God, Dad, don't you know anything about cooking Mexican food? I'll go get some. So Badrock throws on some clothes, which I love that he throws on just regular clothes. That's super funny. He even comments on what it's like to wear regular clothes. And he reminds me of my little cousin who hates also wearing clothes and would just prefer to be undie man his entire life because Badrock's just like, yeah, I hate wearing stuff like that. I just get so hot. I'm burning up in this get-up. So he's just got to strip himself down to his underwear, just like my cousin does. That's a 4-year-old. It'll happen. They're all the same too, I've noticed. Every 4-year-old kid thinks that they're Mowgli in the Jungle Book and should just run around in a loincloth. So he gets back home and his entire house is destroyed and he's just like, where's my dad? What the heck happened? Who the heck are you? See this? Who the heck are you? So we know there's a bad guy on the next page, right? And boom, there's our bad guy. Except here's the problem, is it's Girth. From the beginning. The name's Girth, punk. And if you ever want to see your drivel-headed dad again in one piece, there's a couple of things you'd better keep in mind. So it's like, wait a second, this guy's introducing himself as Girth, but That's who he was fighting here. Skirth, in the very beginning of the comic. And so it turns out that I'm guessing that this is a flashback, and someone just simply forgot to put here, like, home, before, home, earlier. That's all it needed, and I would have understood it was a flashback. But instead, we're jumping around in time, you know, like a Quentin Tarantino movie. And I have said before, Image Comics is the Quentin Tarantino of comic books. That doesn't mean that it has a lot of adult language in it. It just means that it's sleek, it's sexy, it's cool, it's fun. It's the thing you want to be a part of. In 1993, 1994, 1995, you wanted to be part of this. Ask Robert Kirkman. He will tell you you wanted to be part of this, for sure. And so it turns out this is more than likely a flashback. And then here we go. Like, so the flashback continues, and now it's Gunner and Badrock running, but this is before. It's almost like the pages got printed out of order or something. It's very bizarre. And he disappears. He's just like a hologram. So he disappears. They're running. They turn a corner. Hold up a sec, Gunner. I think that's someone up ahead. And we see that. What is that outline of? I think I know what this shadow is. I think I know. I think it's the Savage Dragon, baby. And so sure enough, here's Dragon. And sure enough, this clearly means that we are going to have to pick up Badrock issue number 2 in order to find out what's going to happen between the Savage Dragon and Badrock. And, I mean, I'm just going to be honest about it here. Let me just get through this. Crypt number 1, I bought that too as a kid. Spawn Toys, man. This is where Todd started it all. See? Todd Toys. This is before it was McFarlane. He got threatened with a lawsuit, if I'm not mistaken, from, I think, Mattel, because Barbie had Todd, was like Ken's little effeminate brother or something. And so our Todd, McFarlane, had to change it to McFarlane instead of Todd Toys. And I thought the Badrock looked really good. I thought the Chapel was all right. I wish he would have had the hair, though. I prefer my Chapel with hair, not bald. But the Badrock looks really cool. So, oh my goodness. So this is a movie called Warlock that I guess they made a video game for. I didn't know. If you played this game on your Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis, comment below and tell me if it was good. I am interested in knowing, because Warlock the movie, yeah, that's all right. You know, that's classic, you know, direct-to-video stuff. And I'm surprised. Vidmark Entertainment. Pop for that. Self high five. So, this comic book, for me, for Big Legit, this is something that is undoubtedly going to move the needle, because everything that Rob Liefeld does, especially with Eric Stevenson or with Jeff Loeb, will move the needle for me. And I would suggest to any young comic creator, even if you don't necessarily care for Rob Liefeld because of, you know, the fact that he was a 25-year-old kid who got a ton of success immediately and maybe made a few mistakes along the way, I would suggest you let it go, because you would want someone to let it go for you when you get into your 30s and you're like, God, I did a lot of stupid shit when I was in my 20s and my teens. It's like, yeah, that's how you grow and learn. The point is to grow and learn. Rob Liefeld did grow and learn. That's why Rob Liefeld makes comics at Image once again, because he grew and learned. And the other creators who were upset with him back in the 90s, it passed. They let it go. And that's an important thing that Americans need to learn how to do. Let it go. I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. It's okay to have disagreements. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to learn from your mistakes. It's not okay to pretend that you are infallible and you never make mistakes. Okay? There are only 2 people on this planet who never made a mistake, who are infallible. One of them is a man named Jesus Christ. The other is a man named Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. And that's what I want to say. That simple, people. You want to learn how to move the needle? Follow Rob Liefeld's career. You want to learn how to move the needle? Follow Jim Lee's career. Follow Todd McFarlane's career. Follow Mark Silvestri's career. Those are men known for moving the needle. Look at what Brian Michael Bendis did in comic books back in the 2000s. That's the guy that really moved the needle back then. He was maybe the only guy moving the needle back then. So that's it for me. You know, I'm so happy that I didn't have to tear this comic book up, that I was able to just sit down and enjoy a comic book, that I don't have to think about it anymore after I'm done with it. It's just there to give me entertainment for 20 minutes, which is exactly what comic books should do, is entertain us and inspire kids to be stand-up heroes. And this is a unique one because just like that Iceman #1 from 1984, this is about a kid dealing with parental issues. You know, different than the parental issues that Bobby Drake dealt with in the Iceman #1. But in the same vein, except we have better art, we have better, I don't want to say that, except we have more dynamic art than in the Iceman comic book. We have vastly improved colors. I mean, it's amazing how color has changed so much in the ways that things are colored. Thank you, Christian Lickner, for your excellent color job here, my friend. Excellent. And let me just go ahead and say also before we wrap up, Kurt Hathaway, his letters are always going to be my favorite in a comic. These are guys that get no credit other than at the very bottom of a page, as you can see. Kurt Hathaway is the best letterer that maybe there ever was. And this comic book proves it. This comic book proves it. Look at this. There's some that's really good too. I love this. Look at all this lettering. That's fantastic, isn't it? This one right here, I really like this. I really, really appreciate the letters on this panel right here. That is very original. You're not going to see that in other comics. And that's the impactful, fun style. Not only does Eric Stevenson write us a good story, not only does Rob Liefeld provide us with totally awesome artwork, but right down, and of course, our colorist has done an amazing job, but even our letterer is having fun making this comic book, clearly, and has found a way to provide us with words that make it even more entertaining. I mean, they're making it even more entertaining. You cannot find a comic book that is designed to entertain more than maybe this beautiful Badrock #1A from Image Comics. And this was released March 1995, baby. So there it is. If you loved Rob Liefeld and you had a favorite Liefeld comic, I don't care if it was at Image, I don't care if it's Maximum Press, I don't care if it's awesome entertainment, which we will talk about in the future. I want you to tell me in the comments below, what was your favorite Liefeld rag? What was your favorite Image rag if you didn't like Liefeld? Please like. Please subscribe. It helps. If you want notifications, hit that ding dong down there and we'll give them to you. I appreciate all of you listening. I appreciate all of you who are standing up and joining the Comics Gate revolution to make comics great again. This is Left Hand Legit. You can contact me on Twitter anytime your heart desires, and I will listen. Until next time, this has been another totally awesome comic book review from Testosterone Overload!